Hello, teacher. Hello, students. Welcome to our first lesson of a new unit on world population growth. Today, we will describe the trends of population growth to illustrate the principle of doubling time. We will also compare the population of each continent, identify the world's most populous countries, and contrast the population trends of Africa and Europe. There is a lot to cover today, so let us get started right away. For the majority of human history, the population has been small. Studies of the primitive hunter-gatherer societies that existed before the earliest civilizations suggest that there were only a few million humans living in the world. Then, about 10,000 years ago, humans began to domesticate animals and grow crops. This led to a surplus of food, which allowed the population to gradually expand. By 5000 BC, the human population of the world is thought to have been about 50 million. The growth rate was far from steady. The population tended to increase gradually with large fluctuations due to changes in climate, food supply, and disease, as well as the displacement and death caused by early warfare. The population doubled from 50 to 100 million people by 800 BC, meaning that the doubling time was 4,200 years. After that, the doubling time was just 600 years. The world population became 200 million by 200 BC. By the year 1990, the number of humans had doubled another 5 times, resulting in a population of over 6 billion. Do you know how to calculate doubling time, students? It can be calculated using this formula. Doubling time equals 70 divided by the growth rate. The growth rate determines the time required for a population to double. The lower the growth rate, the longer the doubling time. The higher the growth rate, the shorter the doubling time. It is time for our first activity, students. The growth rate of the population of Ethiopia in 2009 was 2.6%. At that rate, can you determine how long it will take for Ethiopia's population to double? Try to do this now, and I will be right back.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up! Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, students. I am sure that this exercise was not too challenging for you. 70 divided by 2.6 equals 26.92, about 27. Therefore, Ethiopia's population is projected to double in about 27 years, or by 2036. Did you get the same answer, everyone? Great job! As of 2009, the world's population is about 6.9 billion people. Can you guess which continent has the most people living in it? Correct. The answer is Asia. It is not too surprising that the largest continent also has the most people. There are more than 4 billion people living in Asia, and it contains the world's 2 most populous countries, China and India. Africa is the next most populous continent. 1.033 billion people live in Africa. Europe has a population of 733 million people, making it the 3rd most populous continent. The 4th most populous continent is Latin America, which has a population of 589 million. North America, despite its size, contains only 352 million people, so it is the 5th most populous continent. There is one continent left. Can you think of which one it is? That is correct, Australia. Australia and its surrounding countries are called Oceania. Oceania has 36 million people living in it. The doubling times of each continent can be very different as well. For example, Africa's doubling time is the shortest in the world at 27 years. By contrast, Europe's doubling time is 304 years. This means that at its current growth rate, Europe's population will not double until the 24th century. Students, why do you think there is such a big difference between the doubling times of each continent? Working with a partner, discuss the answer to this question. I will be back in a few minutes.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up! Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, everyone. Growth levels tend to be higher in less developed countries. Much of the population of less developed countries live at a subsistence level, and medicine is often very limited. However, birth rates are nearly always high, where the standard of living is comparatively low. The average standard of living in Africa is lower than in Europe, so the African birth rate is higher as a result. As of the year 2000, almost 4 times as many people were living in the less developed nations of the world compared to the developed nations. The nations which we define as being developed represent 20% of the world's population. 9 out of every 10 babies born now are born in less developed countries. The population of Africa will clearly grow a lot in years to come. That brings us to the end of the lesson, everyone. We have studied population size and growth. We have learned to calculate the growth rates, and we have compared the population trends of Africa and Europe. In the next lesson, we will describe the different components of population change. Until then, thank you, teacher. Thank you, students.